Welcome back to the Franchise Ain't Dead podcast, and today we are going to be discussing a bit more on the MLB The Show 26 offering from Sony San Diego. About a month ago, they put out some of the things they were going to be emphasizing as far as franchise and Road to the Show and gameplay are concerned. We're going to focus on franchise and what the front office experience could and should be from them based off their own words and things that are already in the game. If you like the content I put out, please like, share, subscribe. If you're listening to this on YouTube, if you are listening to this in one of the podcast apps, rate, review, all that good stuff. Just come watch the video on YouTube. Now, the 3 points of emphasis that Sony San Diego wanted to focus on were the trade experience, logic as far as where players are slotted in. I did mention that in the previous episode where they essentially spoke on how the CPU teams now more update to modern batting logic, where your best player isn't batting fifth, they'll be more batting second or even third in the lineup. Over the past 20 years, I have seen some crazy places that some of the better players on a team, even if it's not, the initial year of the game, say 2026, you'll have Aaron Judge batting like seventh or some ridiculousness based off whatever weird logic they may have had. I believe may have been based on old school baseball logic, which even then Judge is not batting seventh. He might have been batting fourth or third, but modern logic states more or less that you're going to put your best player because you want them to have as many opportunities as possible to drive in said first person, or if that first person gets out, they are most likely to be that first run on the board to start the ball game. Jumping back to the number one point they mentioned was the trade experience. I know, yeah, maybe sitting there and be like, yo, trade logic is broken. And I don't want to just generalize and use the word broken without having solution for it. I hate hearing that, in other sports games. Oh, this thing is broken. This thing is broken. Yes, it very well may be broken. I feel like if we are not offering solutions as to how to make it better, we're just talking and they're not going to really have a direction to really go in. There needs to be an easier way to compare players. As it currently stands, you literally are only looking at overall and potential. That is not enough to make a decision as to how good this player is, especially considering players' overalls are based off attributes. Maybe I don't want this player that you are sending me because they don't play any defense and I play in freaking Colorado. In Colorado, you need that defense because, let's be honest, balls get smacked all over the place. You need that speed in the outfield. You need quick, fast guys in the infield, especially your middle infielders and third base. Colorado does tend to be pretty good defensively, even if offensively they are challenged in pitching, they are challenged. But a trade comparison screen or screens where you can see how players compare in terms of how many games they've played and where a guy might be slotting into a team's present day and future will give you a better idea of, what you are getting or what you are sending out. And hopefully the CPU teams are able to understand what they are getting back and not just thinking, oh, this guy has high overall, this guy has high potential, I take him. No, because as we've seen, or I've seen over the last 20 years, you can trade for anybody. Besides the fact that there are guys with no trade clauses, salaries that would make it more difficult to trade for, the AI teams will just take whatever the hell you hand them. And not having enough trade slots also plays into that. I know that's going to be a big thing I'm going to see in the comments. On top of that comparison screen or screens, we need to be able to just send counter offers as opposed to having to look at the 3, the 4, the 5 different options. Then we are sitting on, oh, wait, I might not want this player. Granted, I can only see potential in overall, in their age, in their name, not much else. I want to be able to counter offer, pull a player out of a deal, replace it with someone else. Maybe this may sound a little controversial, but I don't want trades to go through so immediately, especially if you're sending a counter offer. Give hell, give them a day. Give them a day to make a decision. If that's not exactly feasible, because say it's late in July or mid-late July, sure, let there be a little bit more immediate feedback before we advance to the next day. Those AI teams also need to have a nuanced purpose as to why they are making a trade. It cannot just be this player is in the last year of their deal, even if they have arbitration and renewal. You will see players on the trade block. It'd be top prospects, particularly you'll see them on teams that spend a lot of money. They'll have guys that are in the minors. There just needs to be more reasoning as to why teams are trading. If you are a team that is spent and spent and spent and spent, and you are not going anywhere, I would give some leeway as far as somewhere between 2-3 years, especially as you move further on into franchise seasons, where if you're not performing with a player who you signed in free agency, they may be playing well or they may still have some upside in them. I know I'm going way out there to a system that used to be in the game, morale, and say a player, may not be happy with their situation. Sure, they should be on the block. Understanding there are no trade clause provisions that you can throw into a contract. They don't even adhere to them in real life in MLB The Show. I've done so in the New York Yankees franchise here in MLB The Show 25, but some people might not want that, might not like that. They may want to be able to trade for some players that in real life would be not impossible to trade for, just very improbable to trade for. Shohei Ohtani should not be going for a bag of peanuts. Shohei Ohtani should be going for a haul of your prospects. Teams should be trading for salary relief. Teams should be trading for the possibility of finding players with upside at positions they need. I mean, obviously, every position is important. I don't subscribe to the idea that WAR is the only way to quantify or qualify value, though I know that is starting to become a thing in MLB The Show for whatever it's worth. If you are a team that maybe you weren't initially projected to be all that good going further along in the season, maybe a 4th, 5th place team in your own division, if you're competing for a playoff spot, sure, you should definitely be looking for that. Now, mind you, I'm more so talking about the CPU. I know that in game there are different designations as to whether a team is making a playoff push, whether they're in quote unquote normal mode, which I don't think makes any sense at all. Normal means nothing. If you need a team that is looking to make a move that makes sense for them, all while possibly not giving up a core player or maybe a core prospect, they may be kind of doing more even-sided type of trading where like, oh, hey, I'll give you this guy for this guy. I'll give you this position player you might need and can help you in some way, shape, or form for a reliever. I understand that might be a little difficult to program, and I don't want it to be something that is like predetermined when you jump into the mode, because then that's boring, because there needs to be fluidity. The Rockies in 2026 could be a playoff team. They could be competing for a playoff spot. You never know. You never know what guys are doing as far as, their offseason plans. It's not likely. They've been last in the division for as long as I can remember. But if you're exceeding expectations and players are playing better, teams should be looking at some of your players and you should be looking at other players to improve your roster. I believe that trading surplus for improving elsewhere should definitely be a thing. You could have a 82 overall outfielder, but say the other guys in your outfield are starter quality and you want them to stay where they are. Teams should be looking, oh, this guy is like their 4th outfielder, and say they are not getting the burn that they may want. Again, I know I'm touching them around. It used to be a thing back as far as MLB The Show 20. I've got my own issues with that system and how they can improve that. That'll be in a future episode. I want there to be significantly less log jams. Don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with having a quality backup fourth outfielder, swing infielder, catcher that's really your DH. Like, there's nothing wrong with having these players. Some of these guys should be available, whether it's from you or from the other 29 teams in the league. Some players, again, just not getting the playing time, and they're still perceived as a player that can still contribute. Yeah, teams should be offering you for them. As far as the logic is concerned, I think they'll do a fine job with the batting lineups. I wouldn't expect to see like a Julio Rodriguez batting fifth or sixth like you may have seen in my Yankees franchise. Granted, I don't always show the lineups, but you may see some more quality guys batting fifth, sixth, which makes no sense to me, even if we are much further in the future than right now. The starting rotation almost never seems to be an issue. Your ace is going to be your ace, and your number 5 guy is going to be your 5 guy, and it's all going to slide in from there. Some teams do alternate righty-lefty, righty-lefty, just to, make that manager make a decision, but other than that, it's almost never an issue. The bullpen, though, is the biggest problem. I've seen it on Reddit. I've seen it on Operation Sports. Obviously, I played the game for 2 decades, and how these pen arms are categorized or tagged, so to speak, it needs to completely overhaul. I believe I mentioned this last year. Professional Baseball Spirits, the Japanese baseball game, which I believe Kevin God might have just put out a video about it, despite the fact that game's been out for about 16 months. He's just catching on to it. Hey, all the more power to you. I still play this game to this day. As a matter of fact, it is January 10th as of this recording, and there's just been an update on it. I haven't seen the specifics on it, but they do a phenomenal job as far as allowing you to characterize when a pitcher goes in. Now, a lot of this is usually based off simulation, which is fine. While it's not out of the question for a reliever to pitch 100 innings as a reliever arm, non-starter, there needs to be something that needs to be done, because there's somehow only guys that are pitching like 20 innings throughout a whole 162 game season. There's no rhyme or reason behind it that I can think of. Maybe it's got something to do with pitching clutch, because I don't know. It's very strange, and there's no, again, rhyme or reason that I can decipher, but there needs to be something that allows you to designate when guys can go in, and maybe some kind of range as to when they go in, because some guys, you want them out there when it's somebody in scoring position, when it's bases juiced, because you know this guy gonna get the outs, so that, hell, when I'm simulating into like custom game entry, maybe use something like that for it. My closer isn't out there in the 7th inning for no reason. It's just like, what are you doing out here? You don't need to be out here. I know we need the outs, but somebody else should be able to handle the situation. Unless you, the user, or you're allowing the AI to adjust your lineup, your pen, it's just doing something that you didn't ask for. While this is wishful thinking, I am hoping that these roles are based off, again, situations. Maybe throw the quirks in there, as some guys are good fastball hitters, some guys are good breaking ball hitters, some guys hit the off speed better. The timing of the game, not all the time is a guy that is designated a long reliever goes out there in like the 6th inning. They may go out there in the 7th. There just needs to be something that separates the long relievers, the middle relievers, and the closers, though they're all pen arms. And I would even, on top of that, attach the fact that you, maybe even day one in franchise, will more than likely see several teams with upwards of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 starting pitchers. I feel like after a certain point in time, They probably should be converted to relief pitcher, which is very easy. Just go on the edit screen, swap them over to relief pitcher. Sure, it'll change their overall. I'm sure it'll change how much money they make, which is probably a good thing because I'm very sure teams are not going out here spending 12, 15, 25, 30 million dollars for a guy that is designated a starter and just slap him in the pen. I've seen that far too often, especially as far out as I currently am in this Yankee franchise. Actually, I'm further along than what I've shown. I actually have reached the end point of the Yankee dynasty, but I've yet to release those episodes because I've yet to edit the videos. But from what you've seen in 2030, 2031 should be coming very soon. You see teams with 7, 8, 9, 10 starters, 4 relievers, a closer, maybe 2 closers, which is not the end of the world, as I don't particularly feel that closer should be a position so much as it is a role. Some teams roll out a pitcher, a closer by committee situation, and that's fine. Hell, allow me to do that. Hell, allow me to set up a 6, 7-man rotation. Professional baseball spirits allows me to do it, and it's easy. It does not take much. Lastly, MLB The Show mentioned streamlining. And when I hear the word streamlining, I immediately think y'all about to try to get rid of something in the game. And maybe that's just me being a gamer the last 30 years and seeing features in many different sports games go from in the game to pulled out the game to repackaged and resold to us as something different, and it'd be no different than what may have been in the game before or a slight tweak to it. I don't feel like MLB The Show's franchise mode needs streamlining. It needs depth. I'm not sure what part of the process you want to streamline. Again, that's just the thing. I don't understand what part of the process of moving through a 162 game season, 365 days on a calendar, that you need to make easier to access, because you've already done that with phases dating back to MLB The Show, either 18 or 19. Phases was the biggest thing y'all have done in about a decade. A D+ level thing. I'm not complaining. I'm glad that it's there because I've played some of the older MLB The Shows, and oh my goodness, it is a slog to simulate through a season. Now, granted, you're still going to get all the pop-ups of injuries. You go back far enough, somebody will tell you, hey, you need to, put some promotions out there. I don't feel like should be too hard to bring back. Hell, in Diamond Dynasty, y'all still to this day, what is it? It would have been 7, 8 years since y'all had bobbleheads in the game. In Diamond Dynasty, MLB The Show 18, still can't give out bobbleheads in franchise. Like, come on. That shouldn't be anything too crazy. It should help boost your ticket sales, but I'm going off on a tangent that has nothing to do with the streamlining. Again, the front office experience, I am cautious. I'm not even going to say cautiously optimistic or cautiously pessimistic. I know that the dev team has a year, and that's putting it very generously to make changes to the mode. One thing I was just perusing through, I had to go through several different sites to these numbers together. But as far as quirks and attribute progression and regression, that has to be based off of recent track record. On the base roster, don't remember if I downloaded the latest update. I know it doesn't have all the players on it, but a player like Aaron Judge, he's got a lot of quirks. 3, 6, 11 of them. And even I feel like it's not enough, because you could probably give him every offensive quirk imaginable, because he is, based off the 2024 numbers, one of the best hitters at home, one of the best hitters on the road, one of the best hitters during day games, one of the best hitters during night games. And they only gave him either a home or away, or a day or a night quirk, when you could literally give him all 4. Like, there are just players that if you are cooking with them, or they have a track record of cooking in basically every situation, should have every quirk. You should be scared out your mind to face them. Like, Aaron Judge should be absolutely dangerous to face. Judge batted, for instance, 1429 OPS on first pitches. He does have first pitch hitter as a quirk, breaking ball hitter. I think he was like 850 as far as OPS is concerned. Fastballs, he's got dead red, unfazed, excels when hitting with 2 strikes. He also hits, well on the off-speed pitch, which is not a quirk, but should be, given that so many players are throwing various changeups, split finger, fork ball, ghost fork type pitches, Vulcan changes, kick change, which is a thing, though I'm not banking on that being in 26 either, as it wasn't in 25, but you never know. Bring back the running fastball. I know that it's very similar to a 2-seam, but I just want it because I'm sure you can still throw it, so why get rid of a pitch? And you better not tell us, oh, it's a memory thing. We had to get rid of a pitch, so we figured the running fastball is similar to a 2-seam. It's not quite the same. It's similar, but not the same. Quirk should be very easy in the player editor to just throw on and take off. Maybe you can lock that off in franchise. I don't really want y'all to do that because, if I've got a custom roster and I want to toggle something on or off, I should be able to do so. Y'all let me know down in the comment section if you're watching this on YouTube, or come over to YouTube and comment if you're listening to this audio-wise. This has been the Franchise Ain't Dead podcast from State of the Franchise Gaming. I'll let y'all later. Peace out.